N4HZ, roger, roger. What's the name there?
N4HZ, roger, roger. What's the name there?
Yeah, it's November 4, Hotel Zulu. Name here is Roger in Cottontown, Tennessee.
Roger, 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 roger. In Tennessee, is that a roger?
Roger, roger. In Tennessee, is that a roger?
That is correct, Jeff. And I'm checking out my old tube has been giving me a little bit of problems. It's a radio I built back in the 70s, I guess, and you don't use these old radios, they get arthritis. And this one has had arthritis. Had a transmit problem, and then I got that fixed and started checking it out, and it had a receive problem. So here it is. Started checking it out, and it had a receive problem. So here it is on the bench, just sitting here, and I wonder if it's making power to wherever you are.
Yes, sir. It's making down towards Kentucky. We're down around Louisville, so I've got a pretty good copy on you on my local 7300, but I have just a little bit better copy on my Kentucky SDR, which is located up around Cincinnati on the Kentucky side of the Ohio River, right at Cincinnati, Roger.
On the Kentucky side of the Ohio River, right at Cincinnati, Roger.
Roger, Jim. I'm located had a couple of unique problems, one of which I still don't understand on this old SB-102 on the transmit side, but I got it working, so again, I'll give it success, but I still don't understand for sure what the problem was.
Roger, roger. Now, does that radio, that's a pretty older radio, Roger?
Now, does that radio, that's a pretty older radio, Roger?
Oh, yes, I built it back in the 1970s. The transmit, I know what the receive problem got into, but the transmit problem, the problem was it would not key the TR relay, and the problem seemingly was just the tube that drives the relay. What I don't understand is the tube checked good, but putting other tubes in there works just fine, although not all tubes will work okay. For example, this is a 6EW8 tube. I've got a few spares. Some of them work, some of them don't. All of them check good.
Roger that. Now, if it is just that you prefer the older radio for a challenge of keeping it running, you know, you could always buy a newer radio and have better results. But in lieu of that, there may be some tubes that have been converted to a solid state. There may be some replacement solid state tubes for that radio, and then if you wanted to continue running the radio, maybe you could just swap out some of those tubes for solid state replacements, Roger?
Tubes for solid state replacements, Roger?
Roger, Jim. I don't know of any tube that would do that for this particular application, but I did know that even back as far as the 70s, it came out with a text bulletin that said that particular radio, that some in this particular radio, that some manufacturers' tubes would not work well, and they suggested replacing, I don't remember the brand, I'll just make this up, let's say replace the Sylvania tube with an RCA tube, for example. So it may be something as silly as that. But yes, I love my old radios, and yes, I have modern radios too. I have a 7300 like you do, and again with TS590, but I've got Boo-Boo's old Heathkit tube-type radios all the way back to an Apache AM transmitter. And yes, I love working on them. I mean, it's like old steam engineer or maybe driving an antique car on Sundays, if you know what I mean.
Roger, Roger. Now, you probably don't have any onboard EQ. Is that a Roger?
Probably don't have any onboard EQ. Is that a Roger?
No, everything's working pretty good.
No, I said you do not have any onboard EQ for that radio. I mean, the radio is not designed for onboard EQ, Roger?
For that radio. I mean, the radio is not designed for onboard EQ, Roger?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question, Jim.
Does that radio have any equalization? Does the radio have any internal equalization capabilities?
Does the radio have any internal equalization capabilities?
Oh, no, Jim, none at all. None of that kind of stuff. I'm using the old original 1970 mic, which I think was manufactured, I'm sure. But, no, I've just got this one particular mic for this one particular radio. There's no audio tailoring at all in this radio.
Roger, Roger. It's part of our setup there. Our setup usually comes about by trying to seek out what the current transmit bandwidth is. The modern day radios have adjustable transmit bandwidths. I know that one doesn't, so I don't call for that in your case, and I wasn't sure whether that might have had a compressor or not. I know I've got a one older, shall we say, that does not obviously have any internal equalization. So the other thing is, do you have any way to adjust the audio? Is that just a light that flashes?
The audio, is that just a light that flashes?
Yeah, just a microphone, and the only adjustment levels we have is to turn the mic up or turn the mic down.
Roger. So what is it pointing at right now? What is the microphone gain control pointing at right now? Noon or 2 o'clock?
Gain control pointing at right now. Noon or 2 o'clock?
No, it's pointed right now about 3 o'clock. I'm watching the ABC on the meter and just driving it where Jim said it ought to be driven.
Yes, sir. I have noticed some big excursions from time to time in your modulation, which usually indicates that there is a lack of upper modulation. Like you may be running an average peak modulation of like about 45%. So I was just wondering if you might be able to bring that up a tad. So you would be more approaching 80 to 85% modulation. I would say your current modulation, average peak modulation, is somewhere around maybe 50%, and maybe we could bring that up to about 80 to 85%, Roger.
Bring that up to about 80 to 85%, Roger.
Roger, Jim. It's okay. It's as high as it's going to go. The only other way I could do it would be to go into the circuitry and change some components.
Yes, sir. Well, you could probably come down from where you were. I thought I heard something going on up there. So come down a little bit from about halfway between where you were and that higher reading, that last transmission, where you were, about halfway from that to the last transmission. And let me hear you.
Halfway from that to the last transmission. And let me hear you.
Roger, Jim. I'm dropping it as we speak, and okay, that ABC is about half.
Okay, so it's going to be a game of maybe concentrating on your position to microphone. I would say maybe come in an inch closer and try that. Maybe we could drive that up just a tad. But the main thing is to concentrate on trying to get as best modulation as you can out of that. I was hoping, maybe, That's why meters are so important, you know, because it gives you a chance to look at like the ALC meter and just concentrate on trying to keep that up in the sweet spot of about 2/3. It really does make a lot of difference as opposed to maybe turning your head away or thinking about other things. That's the way I would do it anyway. I would be looking at the ALC tube or meter or whatever it might be, Roger.
Tube or meter or whatever it might be, Roger.
Roger, Jim. It has ALC meter on it, and I'm looking now again just as to where Heathkit says it should run. It's in the upper part of the ALC, and that's about as high as I can get it, like I said, without changing components. And it's hanging. It looks like the average right now would be appropriate as I look at the meter. Of course, I can't tell on your end, but the thing with these old radios of this generation, though, Jim, is there's just not anything really to adjust. You just inside that mode, you just turn it up and get the power on the AC up. That's all the handle that one has.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, yeah. That's a what type of mic is that you're using right now?
What type of mic is that you're using right now?
It was manufactured by Shure. It's got a Heathkit label on it, so I just don't know what the Shure model number would be. I don't know. I have to go look up the paperwork.
Roger. Is it a hand mic or a desk mic?
Roger. Is it a hand mic or a desk mic?
It is a hand mic.
Very good. So what you want to do in working that microphone is obviously pull it to the corner of your lips, actually touch the corner of your lips and talk across it. That would be the best way to handle that hand mic. Pull it to the corner of your lips, actually touch the corner of your lips. Roger?
Pull it to the corner of your lips, actually touch the corner of your lips. Roger?
Roger. That's the way we do it.
Roger. And so tell me about your antenna system one more time so I can give you some more audio, or I could get some more audio from you.
I can give you some more audio, or I could get some more audio from you.
Okay, Jim. Well, right now, I guess I've got it's hard to explain. I've got about 120 some odd feet of wire in the air. It's not any kind of standard antenna. It's really a random length wire. I've feed it with an un, and it makes a loop. It goes up into the air about 40 feet and makes a loop around my backyard, and then the end of the end fed comes back to the deck, to the origination point. So it's like a loop, but it's just end fed instead of feeding like a balanced antenna.
Roger. Have you ever checked it in generality for its SWR without the SWR bridge in there?
Or without the SWR bridge in there?
Yes, I have, and yes, I have an analyzer, and I don't have the curve with me right now, but it's reasonable. Everywhere, I think on 75 meters the SWR was around a 4 or 5 to 1 without using the tuner, and on the other bands going upward, it was down around a 2, something like that. 75 was the worst point.
Roger that. Well, that should be, you're well within range of most auto-tuners, I would think, Roger.
In range of most auto-tuners, I would think, Roger.
Roger. 7300 will handle it just fine. But of course, this old Heathkit doesn't have such things. But right now, I am going through a tuner, an external tuner, and the SWR is around 2-to-1. I didn't even bother to try to optimize it. I was just working on the radio and flipped it over to the on-air position and heard you and thought I'd say hello to see if I had the radio transmitting okay.
Roger, Roger, and that was a nice transmission. I could hear that one very well, and I could watch your audio modulation. I've got a VU meter tied to the audio out on my 7300, and so I can see exactly what's going on there. And, you know, as you get fatter, the meter tends to hang up there. And earlier, it was quite peaky, that it would be up and down, you know, but that last transmission looked to be that you would be maybe a 3 dB dynamic range, which would indicate that your average percent of peak modulation is 80 to 85%. So that meter was really hanging up there, Roger.
85%. So that meter was really hanging up there, Roger.
Roger, Jim. Well, Jim, thank you for the contact. I know the radio's working now, and I'm going to have to get out here. I got to go get a prescription for my wife. She wants me to go get it, so I guess I better go do that. Thank you. Enjoyed the contact, Jim. And again, what is your call?
Call here is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. KC9VKV. My name is Jim, and we're up around Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
Jim, thanks for helping me check out the radio, and I'm going to get off here and go get my wife's prescription for her. Thanks again, Jim. KC9VKV. This is November 4, Hotel Zulu, Cottontown, Tennessee.
Roger. 73 there, sir. You have a great afternoon. A beautiful weekend if you want to hear your audio. If you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for KC9VKV, followed by the word logbook, that will take you to this recording. It'll be cut number 1 in a series of 3,300, and I'll have it uploaded by noon tomorrow. So this is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.